Yes, good morning. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV for a Thursday morning chat with Savva. And Henry Wright TV has decided that he's going to wake up this morning and join in some footy chat. How are you, mate? You well?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm just waiting for Dragusin to be announced. It feels like we're dragging it out, Sin.
Oh, God, that's dreadful.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've never wanted a transfer to happen so much in my life just so we got something else to talk about, you know?
I know. It's strange, isn't it? It felt like... Don't you always feel, by the way, big up to absolutely everybody in the chat. This is, of course, the show where you get to put in your questions, put a capital Q, then ask your question. I'll try to get to as many comments as always as I can. I'll try and get to the questions. Channel members, of course, you will have all of your comments read out. That's just the way it goes. And if anyone would like to press the subscribe button, the link is pinned in the chat. Please do. We've now gone over to 12,200 and my little channel is trying to catch up with Henry. I'm only joking. Henry is gone. Henry's like Man City and I'm like, who am I? I'm like Wolves. I'll be Wolves back down there in mid-table having a good run. Henry, the funny thing is, right, it felt 3 days ago. I don't know about you, but it was that excitement, right? It was like everything Romano said was Spurs. This player's leaving, this player's signing. And then after 3 or 4 days, you start going, okay, all right, what's happening? I'm going to ask a question to start off and let me know in the chat. There's been lots of talk about the last 6 months since Ange arrived and since Rob McKenzie and Johan Lang, Scott Munn, Paratici's cooking. There's been lots of talk that we're doing things different. Are we? What does it mean that we're doing things different, and how will we know when that has actually been executed?
Well, normally we don't really get any transfer business done towards the back end of the window. It's normally around anywhere between like the 20th to the 31st.
Yeah.
This time, I guess you could say we're trying to get our business done early, and we play Burnley tomorrow, and everyone wanted a new centre back in by that time. So I guess you could say we are planning to get things done earlier. The problem with the things are generally still the same is it's still taking us an age to get a deal done. For instance, Manchester United Borussia Dortmund have lured Jadon Sancho away from Manchester United in 36 hours. The deal's done. They've contacted the agent, they've contacted the player, contacted the club. The deal is done. People will say, "Oh yes, but that's a loan deal. He wants out." I just don't understand why a football club, and I get it. So I get that it's a negotiation, it takes time, etc. But at the same time, we're haggling over 7 million euros, which is about 5 million quid. So yes, it's still the same. It's still the same. That it's still a Tottenham Levy window with an element of we're trying to get business done early. If we then straight off the bat bring in Jota with a loan with an option to buy, and then a few days later bring in a number 8, all before the Man United game, which I think is very unlikely, but if that did happen, I'd be like, right, okay, things are slowly changing. We've apparently got a plan. We've apparently got, Scott Munn, Langer, chief head scouts monitoring players. We're looking at that Illing Jr. from Juventus as well. So I guess you could say we are acting sooner in the transfer window. We just are yet to have a player through the door.
Right. So it's more about the timing of which we've engaged the contact rather than actually getting the player over the line. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to bring this up. By the way, big up to absolutely everyone in the chat, and I am starring some comments, so please bear with me. When you look at this, right, and I know that people will go, "Oh, Romano isn't the be all and end all," but let's be fair. Romano is the Man City of transfer news, right? He really, really is. Now, I'm going to draw your attention here, Henry. So this, of course, this was his pinned tweet on the 29th of December. So it was, I'm not going to read it out, but basically saying that a deal should be done soon, that Dragusin, personal terms, all that kind of stuff is done. Now, that was on the 29th. So you've had, the 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Now, there's two ways of looking at it. First of all, I see it as, oh, hang on, it's only the 4th. There is no panic. But I also look at it and say to myself, well, hang on. How does it take that long to get a deal done when we were told 3 days ago personal terms were agreed and this player's worth £25.9 million? Why can we want a player that much if we're haggling over a few million quid?
It's what Daniel Levy does. What he's done his whole career. He likes to think he's a bit of a wheeler dealer. That's what I was just saying. At Manchester United, Jadon Sancho at Manchester United wanted a Dortmund move badly, and they got the deal wrapped up in 36 hours, or 48 hours, whatever it is. We're still sitting here haggling over €7 million. So that the normal match going day fan will go, well, you can't want him that badly. You know, being linked with Perisic and get him on a free transfer. We had the deal, the medical, and he was wearing the Spurs shirt, all wrapped up within 72 hours.
Yeah, so it's when we have to transfer money, right?
Precisely. But whenever there's money involved in a transfer deal, which is 99.9% of the time, it seems to take us a little bit longer. It's like we're dragging things out. Now, I expected us to get the here we go Tuesday morning. It's now Thursday morning, and Romano has said negotiations are going well. The clubs are just sorting out the payment structure. Now, we haven't put a bid in yet. So how are we sorting out the payment structure? Surely you put a bid in. You say, this is what we want to pay. And then you discuss how you're going to pay that money. I still think the deal's already done. I think it will be announced at some point this week. I was hoping before the Burnley game, but at the moment, I think it probably will be on the weekend.
I was hoping that it would be announced yesterday or today with him being introduced on the pitch before the Burnley game. But listen, let's look at the other side of it. Is it imperative that he's in this week, or are we okay as long as he's in before the Man United game? Even then, there's talks of Mickey van der Ven being available for maybe tomorrow, which I think seems very rushed, but possibly next weekend against Man United. Is there this urgent need? Are we just being impatient fans, as always?
It's probably an element of that, yeah. There probably is an element that we want to get our business done ASAP. You know, I'm not gonna lie, that probably is in there. For me, I just look at this and think, you know, with the likes of Van der Ven and Romero coming back and Maddison coming back, if we can get the players in the door earlier, it makes it so much easier for the remainder of the month. For the remaining 26 days left of this transfer windows, or 27 days, how much easier is it going to be having 3 or 4 players through the door now?
Yeah.
You've got time to embed them. You come to that Brentford game when ideally we should have everyone back fit. You know, I think we'd be in a much better position the earlier we get these transfers in. Like the last 2 January windows, we've got Porro, Bentancur in January, all done in the last day or 2.
Yeah. Do you think that, hang on, before I get to that, by the way, big up to absolutely everyone. Big up to all the channel members. Even if you're not a channel member, big up to you. I am starring some questions, so please don't think that I'm just ignoring them. I'm going to get some super chats, and then I'm going to ask Henry another question. So big up to Strasbourg Steve. Big up to you, Steve. Just some transfer news for you, Steve. I'm not sure if you've seen in the last 30 seconds or so, Romano has tweeted out saying that Strasbourg, of course, Strasbourg Steve, are in advanced talks to sign Milos Lukovic, a talented 18-year-old Serbian striker. Negotiations are progressing for the fee in excess of 5 million. He's got 10 goals and 1 assist in 19 Serbian Super League matches this season. So there you go. Looks like your team's going to get a deal over the line before our team. So big up to you, Steve. 18. One to watch. Desperately need new strikers in the world. We really, really do. Big up, Steve. Thanks so much for that. Mario 2012, always very generous, always in the chat, channel member. Big up, Mario. Hope you are well. Good morning to you and good morning to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much, my friend. That is appreciated. Now, bear with me, everybody. Donna Cullen is in the house. So you're going to have to prepare for some strange comments for the next 4. Big up, Donna. I said, every night in my dreams, I see you. I feel you. I don't know whether to be honoured or worried, Henry. This is how I know you go on far across the distance. Okay. And spaces between us, you have to show you go on. And then the last one is about Henry, which is good. So it takes the deflection away from me. And it says, Mr. Henry, do you need a sugar mummy?
I mean, what are we doing here? Is
I
that
don't know.
rupees? He said, "Is that rupees?"
Yeah. These are not £40 super chats. Otherwise, I wouldn't need to work. I just literally live off these.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to a sugar mummy.
Yeah, there you go. Donna, there you go. So what you need to do, Donna, if you're not a member, go over to Henry's channel, subscribe to membership, and just bombard him with loads of lovey-dovey messages like you do with me. But thank you very much for the super chats. We'll get some questions in a minute, Henry. But I just want to know, do you think that we're always impatient with football fans? We're so eager to see our club win something that we're impatient, right? I get that. You get that. Do you think a lot of this has been spearheaded this window, even though it's only 4 days old, because it was Postecoglou who came out and said, we've got to move early. I want them in as early as possible. I want the train. Is that why we all went, oh, it's different. We're going to have them in. When in reality...
with previous managers, we haven't really seen them come out saying exactly what they want and when they want it and how they want it. With Conte, he said, we need reinforcements, we need backup. Yeah, you never really saw Conte say, we need a centre-back, we need a left winger, we need a number 8. It feels a little bit different in the sense that Postecoglou is actually demanding what positions he needs to strengthen this club. The only thing I would say is right now, there isn't really a difference in how we are acting in terms of getting a deal over the line. You know, we are sitting here currently 4 days into the transfer window. And at the moment, we aren't really any closer to signing Dragusin than when we were 48 hours ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing as well is, I think the benefit, though, this window is we haven't got a Premier League game for the first 14 days of January. Yeah. So I would fully expect to see him in for that game on the 14th against Man United. Do you see any way in which this deal falls through? There's talks that other Premier League clubs wanted him, that Barcelona and Napoli were potentially sniffing around, or do you think this is just a case of dotting I's, crossing T's, managing to get an extra couple of million over the line?
Yeah, I don't think anyone else will sign. I don't think he's agreed personal terms. I don't necessarily think Napoli need him. They say that he was going to be their long-term replacement for Kim Min-jae. Right? They've already brought centre-backs over the line since then. With regards to other clubs, Barcelona, no. People were linking him to Juventus. He left Juventus a year ago. Yeah. Or not even that, 6 months ago to join Genoa permanently. I think as of right now, we will get the deal over the line. It's just we're doing it in Tottenham style and just dragging it a little bit longer than we always should. Yeah. If we get him done and wrapped up by the Burnley game, I'll be happy. I don't know if you've seen Graham Bailey come out from 90-minute football and say we're actively pushing our Etihad winger Jota over a possible deal.
That was going to be my next topic. Don't worry, Henry. I'm there, mate. Oh, there. No, but you're right. Look, I think the key thing here is the key thing for me is I just need to make sure that we've got a centre back in for the next Premier League game. As much as Man United aren't on form, the pace of Garnacho, the pace of Rashford, these things do worry me when it comes to playing against Emerson Royal at centre half, who I think is basically, look, you know what I think of Emerson Royal. I can't see that guy play another game. People saying he played well against Bournemouth. I thought Udogie covered his ass the whole game. I thought we were atrocious at centre half. But look, Henry blushing. Yeah, listen, everyone wants a sugar mummy. I want to move on from, look, Dragusin, we could talk about this all day. Do you think from a centre-half perspective that's it? Because there's still been loads of links with Lloyd Kelly. There's lots of links with Tosin Adarabioyo, 2 players that have got less than 6 months on their current contracts with Bournemouth and Fulham, respectively. Do you see a world in which we get both and then just that's your 4 centre-backs, Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin and Tosin? Or do you think one will be enough?
One. I'd like us to bring in Tosin Adarabioyo alongside Dragusin. The problem we've got is if we only bring in Dragusin and he gets an injury, we're straight back to the standard 2 centre-backs. You know, you look at Tosin Adarabioyo, you look at Lloyd Kelly, They both would fix a couple of problems. They're both homegrown for one.
Yeah.
You look at, I prefer Adebayo out the two, come out of City's academy, good on the ball, fairly good in the air, good defender, fairly quick as well. Ticks a lot of the boxes. I'd be happy if he was our fourth choice centre back. But we're going to have to sign a defender in Europe as well if we're in Europe next season, because we can't have just 3 centre backs. So if we sign it now or we sign him in the summer, I would expect either Tosin Adebayo or Lloyd Kelly to be a Tottenham player in the summer, because one, there'd be a free transfer in the summer. But if we want a best possible chance of going for top 4 this season and making sure we have a good season next season, we might as well lay the foundations now and get the business done now. Like, I don't see a downside to paying like £5 million or £10 million for Adebayo when he's got 6 months left on his deal.
Yeah. Because I feel like, and we're going to talk about Jota in a second, but I feel like there are a lot of people that still go, oh, well, where's the money coming from? I feel like we still talk like we're poor as a football club. We still talk like we're the poor relations. Somebody put a great point in just now when they said in regards to the Dragusin deal that if this was Villa, if this was Chelsea, if this was Liverpool, it would have just been done over the line. Then you've got the other side of the coin where people will say, well, hang on, you've got to balance the books, which is fair. But when we're talking about £25 million signings, Henry, surely we shouldn't have to be looking to sell to buy, especially with Lloris going, his salary freeing up. Surely it should just be 1 in, 1 out, and we can cover a 25 million fee.
Yeah, I mean, we're not poor by any stretch of the imagination. And a lot of people are saying, well, we've got to balance the books, we've got to sell a few players. Paul O'Keefe and various ITKs have already come out and said, we don't need to sell to buy. We don't need to do that. This is what the club have decided and want to do.
Right.
So it looks like we're trying to get rid of Dier, we're trying to get rid of Hojbjerg, bring in Dragusin, kind of balance wages out. Like, we don't need to do that. That's just the way we're acting. But in terms of Dragusin right now, like, I understand people's frustration, but I've just been here the same as you too many times now. I'm not going to bother getting frustrated because what is that going to gain? In terms of the window, though, if we bring in Jota, like, he's on a very, very high wages. So if he comes in, he's going to be our second or third most highest paid player. He earns more a week than Heung-min Son. So is that the right transfer to make? Are we looking at Ealing Jr. as well, who can play out on both wings? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered very, very soon, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's have a look at this. You can see here, I've nabbed this from the Spurs Express. If you don't follow the Spurs Express, please go and follow them. Spurs Express posted this out from @Graham Bailey, saying that Spurs are actively pursuing Al Ittihad winger Jota and are in contact over a possible deal. Now, Henry, this isn't news really in terms of this is a name that's been bandied about since about October. I think he had a falling out or something didn't work out for him a while back at Al Ittihad, and he was instantly linked to Tottenham. I'm going to ask you a question. Is this a goer? Is this purely the fact that he's played for Postecoglou recently for Celtic? And would it be appealing to Daniel Levy because this is a loan signing? What do you make of all the Jota news?
Well, it makes sense in terms of he was Celtic's, I think, biggest goal contributor when he was in a Celtic shirt. Plays out on the left, can play out on the right, 24 years of age. He fell out with Nuno Espirito Santo when he was at Al Ittihad, and he essentially got frozen out of the squad. I think he's played less than 10 games for Al Ittihad. They're not having a great season this year. Al Hilal are completely dominating the Saudi league, so he's essentially out of the squad. If it was a loan with an option to buy, I think that would Daniel Levy would be biting both hands off for him. We are crying out for a left winger. If we get an injury to Richarlison and we have to put Son down the middle, the big question is who's going to play out on the left. Normally people are saying Brian Hill. I think he's one of the worst wingers at the football club. He can't take his man on. He can't hold a player off. I've seen chips with more meat on than this guy. He is I don't see what Brian Hill does on the left. If we bring in Jota and you've got more competition out on the left, then you've got Solomon coming back as well. The right-hand side, you've got Kulu and you've got Johnson. And then down the middle, you've got Son and Richarlison. It gives a little bit more competition. He's a half-decent set-piece taker. He can strike the ball from distance. He likes to run at players. He's still a good age. And Ange, according to a lot of reports, loves Jota. So there isn't really a huge downside to bringing him in, other than he is on very, very high wages. Yeah. If he's on 240,000 euros a week, he's not going to want to drop that moving to London. We're going to have to give him a huge amount of money up front, probably a signing on fee, like similar to what we did with Perisic. Perisic is on 180 grand a week and got, I think, 3.5 or 4 million euro signing on fee. So whether we get that done or not is yet to be seen. But I would actually take Jota. It's something different. A lot of our wingers don't like running at players.
Do you know what, Henry? Bang on the money. By the way, just quickly, Fabrizio Romano has said that Jadon Sancho is waiting for the green light to travel to Borussia Dortmund training camp in Marbella today to undergo medicals. That's not bad, is it? Imagine that. Imagine, right? Okay, where am I going for my medical? Going to Marbella. All right, cool.
Yeah, honestly, man, I think he's going to do amazing things at Dortmund. I think he's going to go back over there. That you don't get 20 goals and 20 assists in the Bundesliga. I think the manager has just completely destroyed his confidence and just thrown him under the bus. I think they need to get him back to the levels he was in Dortmund.
I'd take him. I'd take him. I think with an arm around him, and I think this is so underrated in any walk of life when managing, right? Putting your arm around someone and saying, I believe in you. Yeah. And in the style of football we play, I think Jadon Sancho would have been brilliant on the left wing, Sonny through the middle, Jadon Sancho on the left, and then whatever you want to do on the right.
He can even play the number 10. He can play the false 9. He's naturally both foot, but like very strong on both feet. He likes running at players. He's very creative, and he thrives in a system where he's got players running off of him. When you've got Richarlison, Son, Solomon, Johnson at Man United, it's very stagnated. It's very much.
Oh, listen,
it's not the right club.
It's not a coincidence that no one's playing well there, right? Let's be brutally honest, right? Man United don't. It's not like all their players are bad. As much as we want to laugh and as much as you want to say, "Ha, isn't it funny?" Rashford didn't turn into a bad player overnight. Jadon Sancho didn't. Bruno Fernandes didn't. Right? Casemiro, Amrabat. You know, even Anthony. Anthony at Ajax. Watch him at Ajax. He was brilliant. He comes in. He looks like he's got no confidence. But listen, it is what it is. By the way, let's talk about no confidence. Henry, there's nearly 400 people in the chat, which is good for 10:30 in the morning, and 82 likes. I mean, that is tight, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is shocking. Guys, you'll never see me asking for money. You'll never see me asking for super chats. What I ask for is likes. Please smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Come on, people. This is content for you every single day. All I ask is for you to press the like button. Let's get that to 200 as quickly as possible, please. Henry, I'm going to go through a few comments, but I just wanted to say you were spot on. For me, Jota's something different. Our wingers, for me, I think Perisic is gone. Let's be brutally honest. Perisic is gone. He's got that long-term injury and he'll be at the club. Son, for me, I still don't think is anywhere near effective on the left as he is through the middle nowadays. I thought he had a great game against Newcastle where he ruined Trippier. Other than that, I see him inside. Brian Hill, I'm with you. Shouldn't be at this football club. Solomon, I think, was very much bought as a rotational sub, so to speak. Kulusevski, for me, isn't a wide man. I don't mind him in the middle. I don't think he's a wide man. Brennan Johnson, every now and then, puts in a nice cross, but doesn't scare his fullback throughout the games. For me, something different is needed. Henry, look, I'm going to go to some comments. First of all, big up Chris Sperrin. How you doing, brother? Said, first thing I'd be doing is ripping up Undonberger's contract. He will never sort his head out. I'm sick of him and the hanger-on players we have. Yeah, I think he needs to get out of the club ASAP. Just quickly, Donna Cullen's come back in and said, Mr. Henry needs to sign Sugar Baby and Mummy contract. I don't even know what that means, but big up to that, Donna. She's come back in and said, Mr. Savva, the songs were for Mr. Henry also, not you. Okay, fair enough. Henry's got the songs. Henry, I am very jealous. You've got the songs. And come back in and said, I'm mad with you as you called me mean 2 days ago. That's life, my friend. That's life. Big up to you. Couple of quick chats we'll go through. Bill, big up to you, my friend. How are you? Said, big up, lads. Just had a load of Aussies tell me Ange takes all cup competitions seriously. Discuss. Well, Henry, you and I got pelters earlier in the season for our comments regarding this. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Did he put a weak team out against Fulham in the League Cup because he was brand new to the club? We were a couple of games in. He didn't really know what was going on. Or did he just make a mistake?
He made a mistake. You watch those players in the training ground every single day. You know who's the better player out of them. You know each player's strengths. You know each player's weaknesses. You know we haven't won a cup competition in coming up to 16 years this season. And we went out at the first hurdle away to Fulham. Now, he come out afterwards and said, I can't see, if I don't see the players on the football pitch, how am I going to know the strengths and weaknesses? You haven't got to be a brain surgeon. You haven't got to be a, CEO of Google to see that the likes of Ryan Sessegnon, Eric Dier are just not it. Fraser Forster is not it. 5 penalties at him, didn't even get close to saving one. Yeah. If he makes the same mistake in the FA Cup, I'm not. This laptop will be going out the window. Like I see the Athletic today say Tottenham need to take the FA Cup a lot more seriously this year. I agree. We haven't got past the FA Cup in 5 years. We've gone out to Everton. We've gone out to Sheffield United. We've gone out to Norwich. We need to take the FA Cup seriously. A lot of people are talking about, what would you rather? Get into the top 4 or win the FA Cup? I'd rather finish 8th in an FA Cup every single day of the week. Every single day of the week, finish 8th and an FA Cup this season. We haven't won an FA Cup in nearly 33 years. In that time, Wigan have nicked an FA Cup. Leicester have nicked an FA Cup. Portsmouth have nicked an FA Cup. And I know some people say, but look where they are now. And I get that. But we're Tottenham Hotspur. We're not Portsmouth, Leicester, or flipping. Like Swansea have won a League Cup more recently than we have. It's about time we start taking the domestic trophy seriously. If you go over to Spain and you look at Bilbao and you look at Getafe and you look at Valencia, look at how many finals they've made in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Because in Spain, you take the domestic trophy seriously. There's not a top 4 race. There's not a European race, mid-table race. Like, we have to take the FA Cup this season seriously. If we don't, serious questions have got to be asked. If we go back to Burnley, you're talking a 40-game season. That would be horrendous for me. Mm-hmm. The club have got the motto around the stadium is the game's about glory. To dare is to do. Well, how about start showing it, play the strongest possible team we can play against Burnley. Then the 4th round of the FA Cup is on the 27th of January. Hopefully we get a good tie at home. And then by the time the 5th round comes around, you'll have Maddison, you'll have Van der Ven, you'll have Romero, you'll have Son, you'll have Basuma, you'll have Sarr all back. Because the next round is on the 28th of January. But the narrative will be, but he's not playing any of the kids. He's not playing any of the kids. And then if we do play some of the kids and we lose, it's, we're not taking the cup competition seriously. Like, I don't understand why we haven't played the likes of Santiago. We haven't played the likes of Donnelly, Dorrington. Valise hasn't had more game time. It's been,
but yet we're happy to see Brian Hill, Emerson Royale. You know what I mean? It's like
now Dane Scarlett,
Ollie Skip. Yeah. I agree.
He's ahead of Valise in the pecking order now. Yeah. I mean, we get, as I said to you last night on WhatsApp, we get an injury to Richarlison this month. Dane Scarlett's our striker against Man United. Let's say, I touch wood, this doesn't happen. But if Richarlison gets injured against Burnley, Dane Scarlett starts up front against Manchester United. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look. I mean, it's been. Look, I said the other day, we are feeling the effects now of years gone by of poor recruitment, poor squad planning. Right. So for years, when people like me and you have been saying, I don't think we've had a good window. I don't know what we were doing there. People are going, oh, no, it's brilliant. You're just negative. Look at these players. It wasn't built with anything in mind. We weren't, it wasn't like we were building methodically. But it is what it is. Okay, no worries, mate. Seen that. Listen, a couple of comments I want to bring up. Loads of people have put some stuff in. First of all, I wanted to go to my mate, the big boss man. First of all, this is the worst thing. Whenever anybody says this to me in a chat, I immediately think they don't understand football. No one said this was Football Manager. This sentence, Henry, seems to be the go-to thing whenever someone doesn't agree with what you say. This isn't Football Manager.
We're a massive football club. We've got scouts.
Exactly.
We've got scouts at the moment in South America. 8 scouts. No, not 8 scouts. We had 8 scouts at one point. We've got 2 scouts at the moment in South America. We've got 3 or 4 scouts in Italy, 2 or 3 scouts in Spain and Portugal. Like, look at Manchester City, right? They've just gone and picked up an 18-year-old in Argentina.
He's quality,
got more. There's more talk around this kid than Alvarez was. More talk around than who was the other? The McAllister when he was there. How are Man City going and strengthening while they're on top?
But can I ask you a question, right? Can I ask you a question? You know when people say this isn't Football Manager, isn't that exactly what this is? It is Football Manager. It is real life football with managers buying and selling players. So when people say this isn't, it is. Don't forget the computer game. This is exactly what the world is. You buy, you sell. Every other club, I mean, I don't hear their fans saying this. I'm sure they do, but I don't see them saying it, right? Oh, it's not Football Manager. Like, honestly, this guy, I love him and we don't get on, but Sancho is exactly the wrong player we need. How does he know that, right? Big boss man. Anthony was not brilliant. He was decent. I've just done my homework. In 78 games for Ajax, he got 42 goals and assists. 78 games, 42 goal contributions from the wing. Sorry, I don't know what planet you come from, big boss man. That's brilliant. I remember watching Ajax and going, yeah, man, you have got a player.
Have you seen that Bakayoko guy at PSV?
Yes, he's quality. He's quality.
He's another one that's being linked at. Like you got at Feyenoord, you've got Santiago Jimenez. There's a lot of talent. There's this narrative that there's a lot of
no one else is good if they don't play in the Premier League.
Yeah,
there's this narrative, right? No one else is good if you don't play in the Premier League.
If they play in the Eredivisie, it's just going to be another Janssen. It's just going to be like flipping. There's no good talented players in Germany. Like, what about Mickey van der Ven? By the way, have you seen how good Tapsoba is this season?
Listen, I've seen how good Tapsoba was last season. Tapsoba's a quality footballer. The key thing for me, Henry, is I do find it funny that whenever you talk about other leagues, not all fans, by the way, but whenever we talk about other leagues and other players, it's constantly, they won't do well over here. Could they handle the pace and the physicality of the Premier League? Henry, do you know how many games I've watched in the last month where you see there's maybe 1 to 2 English players in the 11? I'm thinking the whole league is built from players from other leagues.
Against Bournemouth, we had the only 2 homegrown players we had on the pitch was Davies and Johnson.
See, you get this. Dutch league is not right. What about Robin van Persie?
What about that entire Ajax team? Ziyech, Donny van der Beek, flipping De Ligt, Onana. De Jong. I mean, look, you think, I tell you, we did this game the other week. How many players have come over from the Dutch league and smashed up the Premier League? How many players from the Italian league, the French league, the German league, the Croatian league? But everyone's still, no one can do it in the Premier League. Premier League. It's only recently, it's only like the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, 6 years, that the English leagues have really started taking the Champions League more seriously. For years, it was always Madrid, Barca, Bayern, Inter Milan, the Spanish clubs. If you look at the Europa League, when's the last time an English team won a Europa League? 5 years ago. It would have been
Man United, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Since then, you've had Sevilla win it, Villarreal win it. You've had Roma in the final. You've had Inter Milan in the Champions League final. If you look at the Conference League, West Ham were the first English team to take, in my opinion, a European competition that seriously. They played their strongest team every single week. We got in it, right? We got in it. We left everyone on the bench and we got knocked out by COVID. West Ham, it doesn't matter if you're in the mountains of flipping Caucasus, they're turning up with their strongest 11 every single game. That's what I want to see us do in the FA Cup. I want to see us play the strongest 11 against Burnley. Then if we get whoever we get next, even if we get Late Norien away, play your strongest team, show the intent to win a trophy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I completely agree with you. I just find it. I can always, from watching the chat, I can always tell who watches other leagues and who doesn't. I really, really can tell who watches other leagues. It's like when we were linked with Jimenez, and the first thought in people's minds is he another Janssen? What on earth links the two players? There is no link. They're not the same age. They're not the same type of player. They're not the same physics. But just because they're both coming...
He's Mexican, but in the Dutch league.
It's mad. It's people that don't watch other leagues. It's mental. By the way, if anyone said the other leagues aren't exciting, I don't know if anyone watched last night. Girona beat Atletico Madrid 4-3. What a great game of football. That was some sublime goals as well. And Girona, they got some players of Girona.
You know that manager, he only got them promoted last season.
Mate, they've done brilliantly. They've done absolutely
everyone's talking about how good of a job Unai Emery's done. That manager got them promoted, and a year later, with less than 100 million euros spent, less than 100 million, they're now in a title race, and they're pushing they're pushing Real Madrid to the wire. Like that's just insane.
Yeah, if you look at it, Madrid are on 48 points. Girona are on 48 points. Now that's a true title race because they're both 10 points clear of third place.
Yeah.
It's them two out on their own. Let's get some more comments. We'll flip through some of these really, really quickly. He's back, my mate. It says, Savva, didn't you say top players can't be bad for this long, i.e. Romero, Kulu last season, but now giving excuses to Rashford and co? Big boss man, you don't listen to what I said then. I can't even be bothered with you. You just do this to wind me up. I'm sure you do. I'm not giving excuses. I don't think Rashford and Anthony are the greatest players I've ever seen, but I believe they're better than what we're seeing for them at Man United at the moment. The same way Romero. The thing is, the difference with Romero is we saw Romero play well under Conte. Then under the same manager, we saw him play badly. But Big Boss Man always wants to... I could say, honestly, Henry, I could say happy Thursday. He'll go, it's Friday. He's one of those people. I love this. This is another one which I find funny when people say these sort of things. Big up to Robert and Team McWilliam. I'll bring them both up. So do not disagree with a strong team for the cup. I don't want to hear any comments of why if we pick up more injuries. That's followed on by Team McWilliam that said, would you be happy if Bentancur, Richarlison, and other senior players get injured in the cup if Ange plays a strong team? Henry, I've never understood comments like this as though, one, players can't get injured in training. Two, what's the difference between Bentancur and Richarlison playing in the cup and getting injured versus playing in the league and getting injured? C, I don't know if anyone remembers famously when Jose Mourinho was asked about, aren't you worried about injuries in the cup when he put out a strong team? And he said, can players only get injured in a cup? And I was like, bang on.
Yeah.
Why is there this notion that apparently if players play in a cup, we've all got to be worried about them getting injured? Why is that a thing?
I don't know. There's no difference between playing a cup game and playing a league game. It's just one's knockout, one's you got 38. Would you be happy if Bentancur and Richarlison get injured in the cup? Well, I will tell you what I wouldn't be happy with if we don't play those sort of players and we play other players that aren't good enough and we get knocked out. I think for me this season, when you look at Man City and Arsenal in the Champions League, you look at Liverpool are in the League Cup final and the Europa League. Man United are trash, let's be honest, right? And then you look at who else out there can take the FA Cup by the horns. West Ham are in Europe. Brighton are in Europe. Villa are in Europe. We should be going and looking at this FA Cup and thinking, I want to win that. We should win that FA Cup. We've got a relatively good draw. Straight away, after the third round, Arsenal or Liverpool are out of the cup. They're out. So one of the big boys has gone immediately. I actually think as well, Sunderland will beat Newcastle.
Wow. Do you think that would be the end of him?
This is what I hope happens more than anything, right? They sack him and the FA appoint Eddie Howe. That, for me, would be the best possible outcome. Give him the job give Eddie Howe that Euros,
Yeah.
and we go all the way. We go to the final. It just depends on if we get France or not. But I think Sunderland will knock Newcastle out. That's going to be a banana skin for them. And if hypothetically that happens, you're talking either Arsenal or Liverpool are out. Man United haven't got an easy game. Wigan in the cup is not an easy game, and it's away. We could be sitting here. I mean, Man United could go and put 3 or 4 past them. But they won't have... I'll tell you, they will have Onana. How Onana? Have you read that story, by the way?
About the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah, so the squad are meeting. So the African Cup of Nations this year is in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, right? The players, the Cameroon national team, are all meeting up, right, in the next 48 hours to play.
Right.
Man United have postponed Onana to travel. He's travelling after the Manchester United game. There is 18 hours between the Man United game finishing and the first game for Cameroon in the Cup. Plus, he's got a 10-hour flight in between. Like, how disrespectful is that? 1, to your teammates. 2, to the competition. Like, West Ham didn't keep Kudus for the Brighton game. We haven't kept Sarr and Basuma for the Burnley game. So they're keeping him for the Wigan game and then for the Tottenham game. So he's still got another 10 days before he leaves, and then 18 hours later plays his first game. He won't even play a training session with Cameroon. For me, he should. If I was the governing body of AFCON, I'd find him shed loads.
Yeah, I'd have him out. I'd have him out. Listen, it's crazy. It's crazy. Listen, I'm going to get to a few more comments just quickly before we do. I think that this for me sums it up, Daniel. Absolutely. We should never be talking about resting players when we play one game a week. We play one game a week. I was actually concerned when Postecoglou came out after the Brighton game and said we were tired. I was concerned.
Yeah,
because one game a week we've played all season, and even then sometimes there's been 14-day gaps in between games, and we're talking about being tired. The same people that wanted European football this year. If we're going to Europe next year, you've got to get a much deeper squad, because if these tactics make the players tired, then you've got to go and buy a lot of players. You've got to go and buy a lot of backups, a lot of squad rotational players. Big up to everyone in the chat. For me, by the way, what I've said about playing kids tomorrow, by the way, Henry, is I want to see a strong team. I've said I wouldn't mind seeing one. I wouldn't mind seeing Donnelly in the number 10 because of the injuries we've got. I don't believe playing Donnelly in the 10 could be an excuse for getting knocked out the FA Cup. Right? We're playing Burnley. We're not playing Man City. We're not playing Liverpool or Arsenal. Right? We're not playing Aston Villa. We're playing Burnley, who, all due respect, don't win many games of football. If we can't drop a Donnelly in, or a Dorrington, not both, or a Dorrington, or a Phillips, then I worry about how good are any of these kids. If we can't drop them in to the first 11 for a cup game at home to Burnley because we're worried we'll get knocked out if we play Donnelly, I don't know. That's where I'm at with it, Henry. I just would play Donnelly one or Santiago.
I don't see why I don't see how playing Donnelly against Burnley is going to make us any worse than what we are. The problem is because Giovanni Lo Celso got 2 assists against Bournemouth. It's how can you drop Lo Celso? You could play both of them. We're playing Burnley.
Exactly. In the midfield, Henry, you've got Bentancur. Does he play 2 games in quick succession? Probably get him another 45 minutes under his belt. Then you've got what? Who else plays in that central midfield?
Skip, Hojbjerg.
You got Skip, Hojbjerg, Lo Celso.
That's it.
See, why not go with Bentancur and then one of a Hojbjerg and Donnelly in the number 10. Kulu out wide right, Brennan Johnson wide left, Richarlison through the middle. There's not a lot of options. I don't see how doing that would that's just me. Yeah. I get right, dude. Listen, I'm going to just say this nicely. You keep doing this. I've not blamed fans for the lack of depth. I've not once said that. Stop this. Okay. I've not once said that. We're just having a football chat and you always come in and ruin it. You're always an arse when you come on here. Then you say, oh, Happy New Year. Sorry, I'll be nicer this year. Then you come back on and you're just an arse again. I've not said this. Stop it. No one's moaning. We're having a football chat. If you don't like it, go down the Emirates.
Have you seen there's FA Cup on tonight? Palace versus Everton.
Is that tonight?
Yeah, 8 o'clock tonight.
There we go. Palace v
So
Everton
straight away,
tonight.
one Premier League side could be out. Brentford have got Wolves. Another Premier League side could be out. So you're talking this weekend guaranteed for the FA Cup. 3 Premier League sides will be out of the Cup. Guaranteed. And
yeah, listen.
Arsenal, Liverpool.
We talk about this every year, Henry. We talk about this every year. Is this our year? Is this the best chance of winning a cup? We've got to see it. We've got to... I'm not saying play your best team, you win the cup, but give it a go, right? Like tonight, tomorrow, whatever we put out, we should have enough of Burnley. No excuses. I don't want any excuses of injuries, suspensions, AFCON. We're playing Burnley, Henry. We are. Look,
I was there at Sheffield United away last year. Last March. And, we all know how that went. We lost 1-0.
Well, this is a Burnley team that have won 3 games all season and lost 15 games. There should be no excuse. We've got far too much for them. I want to see us go through, and then you're in it's the luck of the gods. It's who you get. If you get drawn against Man City, against Liverpool, against Arsenal, your odds reduce. But you could go all the way through without playing one of those. And like you said, though, we have been knocked out to the likes of Sheffield United in the recent past. Just want to get to a couple more comments, Henry. This is what my morning show is all about. Dan Skyliner said, do you think we'll sign a centre forward? And if so, who? Do you think we will this window?
No, I think we will get Jota, and I think we will get Dragusin. Depends on the number 8. I can't see us getting in a centre forward. I'd love to see Santiago Jimenez, but I think that's more of a summer. Yeah,
absolutely. By the way, 468 of you in here and only 170 likes. This is this is Darwin Núñez and Richarlison conversion rates throughout their career. Can we please...
I want to ask you something, right? I was having a chat with Rance, and we was debating on Richarlison. Got a little bit heated.
Yeah.
But funny heated, not like nothing personal. And he said, Richarlison at the moment is better than any striker at Arsenal. He's better than any striker at Chelsea. Other than Bowen, he's better than the strikers at West Ham.
No.
Right? He said, at the moment, when you get a new striker, having a player like Richarlison coming off the bench for squad depth is not a bad thing. And I said, he said, at the moment, he scored 5 in 5. I said, I would expect Richarlison. Sorry, hold on. The dog's having a moment. Right. I said, I would expect Richarlison to score that amount of chances in the system with the amount of chances we create.
Yeah.
Like Romero's already got 3 goals this season. Kulusevski's got a few. Maddison's got a few. It's only Son that's up there. Like I look at Richarlison and think for £60 million, obviously he can't justify his transfer, but he should be on double digits minimum this season. The amount of chances he's flustered. He's got. Like that Bournemouth chance, it doesn't even get anywhere near the goal. The goal.
Doesn't it sum up 2023 though that a player can be that bad for that long? Then they have a little purple
month, don't you?
But the thing is, if we're judging it on the fact that he scored a couple of tap-ins, sure, right? If we're judging it on his all-round ability, I think he's a terrible footballer. Listen, at the end of the day, if people want Richarlison, cool. I want a lot better. I've got bigger things in my I don't even know what the word I'm looking for, but I want bigger and better at Tottenham.
Yeah. Ambition.
His all-round game is awful. So when people say he's getting better, he's not. What it is he's just actually putting away some. Oh, look at all the goals he scored. They're all easy. There's no goals, Henry, where he's got the ball, jinked past a player, had to control it, check back, bend it in. They're all swept in from 5 yards. That's fine. That's good. But when he doesn't get that chance, when he gets the chance, like when he's through on goal, we saw how bad he is. For me, I think we need much better. Much better. Absolutely, Philly. Absolutely. 9 goals in
The doctor's
18
going
months. Go on, mate. You're right. Philly, this is the thing. 9 goals in 18 months from a striker. Imagine, I'll ask this question, Philly. Imagine this was a player who played for Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, City, who got 9 goals in 18 months. We'd all be laughing at them. We'd all be laughing at him. Listen, I'm happy for him to score some goals, but for me, I just think he's a very, very average footballer that shouldn't be up front for Tottenham Hotspur. Neither, I don't rate either of them is the answer to that question. Hollywood Phil said, how many goals would Kane have got in the system? Ridiculous amount of goals. Yeah, I mean, the difference is, right? The difference is you're talking about a player who's there in Richie, and then you're talking about a player who's off the screen in Harry Kane, aren't you? But look, it's unfair to put him against Harry Kane because we know he's not that good. We know he's not there. Well, Eddie and Ketty, yeah, how he's at Arsenal, I don't know. You guys need to sort that out. Jackson on 7 goals, but should be on 12. Not bad for a 30 million striker. I mean, Jackson's got more Premier League goals than Richarlison. That speaks volumes. We finish this now. So Richie gets back and defends hard, especially his aerial ability. Sure, but that's not the first attribute I want from a centre forward. Yogi Bear said he's been at it for the last month and running like a machine. Again, that's not the first attribute I want from my centre forward. Leave you with Bevy said Richie can't even control a football properly. Is that really our level? Well, according to a lot of these fans praising him, this is our level now. This is what we want. We want Richarlison. Mark Cook said, I would have got 5 and 5 if I was on there, and I'm 55. Absolutely, Mark. Listen, I'd fancy myself to tuck away to the chance he has been. Joe has said Richie is a headless chicken. Loads of work rate, but shocking at the basics. For me, this is the key thing. It's the basics. The basics. Hold up play, bringing others into the game, first touch, nicking the ball away from players, getting away. It's too erratic for me. The difference between me and you is I don't change my mind off of 5 games where he scored some tap-ins. That's the difference. I don't fluctuate my opinion so drastically on a footballer in the space of 5 games and 4 tap-ins. Yeah, I mean, Soldado was a million times better on a ball than Richie and played in the wrong position. But listen, let's move away from Richarlison. There's not a striker on a planet as good as Kane. It's up for debate, that one, isn't it? It's up for debate. But absolutely, when we talk about Richarlison, I don't think we can compare him to Kane because they are just chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move away from him. I've got a couple of super chats here. Jim Jam Pookie, I like that name, has said, play our strongest 11, then ring the changes. I think the key thing for me is I don't disagree with Jim Jam Pookie here, Henry, but we've seen it a number of times in Premier League games where we're 3 or 4-0 up and he still won't bring on for the last 15 minutes. Right. He's still like 4-0 up versus Newcastle. Romero's on a yellow card. Yep. And you're thinking, put on Phillips or Dorrington at centre half. Like, give them 15 minutes. We're not going to lose this game. Give them 15 minutes. Nope. Donnelly gets like 2 minutes at the end of the game. He can't do anything in 2 minutes. Give them 15 minutes. You're 4-0 up. You're 3-0 up. The game is won. What do you make of that?
I've been calling this out for a little while now. It's starting to get a little bit frustrating from a fan's perspective that the game's in complete control. We were never going to lose to Newcastle. We were never going to lose to Bournemouth, despite them, both scoring late. But bringing up that could spark something. If you bring Donnelly on and he creates a chance, or bags a goal, then surely that the manager's got to be thinking, well, hang on, let's give him some more game time. The problem we've got is he's not giving any of the players a chance, like Dorrington, Santiago. Feliz is only getting a few minutes here or there. Donnelly, I think when you look at other teams, like Brighton played that 18-year-old midfielder at right back. He also played very well against West Ham. Newcastle have had Riley play, or Marley, whatever his name is, playing midfield.
Yeah.
Chelsea give game time to youngsters. Man City play Rico Lewis or that new 18-year-old they've just signed. You can bet your bottom dollar he's going to be in their squad at some point this season. With
Even
us,
in the Champions League, they played, what's his name? Who was the young winger that made his debut in the Champions League,
Oscar
scored?
Bob.
Who?
Oscar Bob?
No, well, Oscar Bob played as another one. Oh, God, I can't think of his name. I'll find it, but yeah, go on. Yeah, sorry,
like all these other teams in the league manage to play young players. But when it comes to us, there's this narrative of, we need to play our strongest team. But then when when we're calling to our bench for changes, he'll bring on Ollie Skip and take off Lo Celso rather than bringing on Donnelly. He'll bring on Dier when we're 3-0 up, and then 5 minutes later we concede. Why are we making a defensive change when we're 3-0 up? We're unless it's to bring on a youngster. Dier doesn't want to come, and Dier's not even going to be here. I don't get that.
That's what I can't understand, Henry. That's what I can't understand. All right, if you don't want to start them, right? But then when you're bringing on for the last 10 minutes Eric Dier, who's not going to be at the club instead of Dorrington or Phillips, when Brian Hill is coming on and it's not Santiago or Donnelly, I just sit there and think to myself, why are these young players not trusted for 15 minutes? And then I ask the question, what could happen by the way, yeah, Mika Hamilton is the bloke I was thinking of, yes. What could happen in that 15 minutes, Henry, at 4-0, 3-0 up, that you turn around and go, well, we were 4-0 up, we drew 4-4 because Ashley Phillips played. This guy, it's not like he's never played football in his life. Yeah. We bought him for a reason. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it.
Phillips is going to be another Rodon. Sad, but I think he's going to be another Rodon.
I think it's hard to say. I mean, I've seen highlights of him, right? I think the rest, I don't think anyone can say they've seen loads, right? Because he's not played loads and loads of first-team football. But he has played first-team football. And the highlights I've seen from him, he was excellent. And I don't know if you remember, when we signed him, the Blackburn Rovers fans protested. All of their YouTube channels were, I cannot believe we've let this kid go. He is mustard. He was head and shoulders above the other players. But we can't even see him.
We bring in Dragusin, right? And we bring in, let's say, hypothetically, we bring in Tosin Adebayo and Dragusin for the summer.
Yep.
You can have Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Tosin, Davis, then Phillips.
And at the moment, he's got Emerson Royale in front of him. Right.
Hojbjerg, then Phillips. What is the point? I think he's got the potential to be a fantastic defender at Spurs. But I also think that one of the reasons we might have signed him, and I don't think many people are looking at it, is purely because he's homegrown. In the summer, mate, we have got a big, big problem coming on our hands.
I agree. And this takes me back to a comment. Sorry, just quickly. James Watts has said, big up, Savva. Big up to you, James. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate the super chat. So thank you very much. Jim Jampuki has gone on to say, do Liverpool fans slag off Nunes? I can assure you they do. Darwin Nunes is an interesting one for me because Darwin Nunes' all-round game is very good. His hold-up play, his link-up play, he runs the channels. In front of goal,
it's a different story.
It's a different story. But listen, that's there for them to deal with, right? That's for them to deal with. I'm worried about Tottenham Hotspur. I know who I would rather have out of Darwin Nunes and Richarlison, by the way. But yeah. But listen, Jim Jampuki, thank you very much. I can assure you that Liverpool fans that I stream with very much do slag him off. I'm sure you find the same, Henry. Just a couple of comments that we had. Keith Edwards is asking about where is the 15 million we had left over. I think this is still that notion, Henry, that when the club said there was 150 million pounds, every football fan decided that in their own minds that it was purely for transfers. And I think we're seeing that it wasn't.
Improving the academy and things.
Yes, absolutely.
50 million's already been spent. Don't worry about that.
Yes. So I would think that that's already been spent on some hotel, some nightclub under the stadium or whatever we're doing. By the way, Fabrizio Romano has just said official Serge Reguilon is returning to Spurs after Man United activated the break clause in the loan agreement.
The club have
I
just
think,
tweeted it out as well.
yeah, I think we all knew that was coming. Apparently, he's going back out. Whether that's on loan, whether we sell him, I would definitely try and get some money for him. Try and start recuperating some money back into the football club.
Try and get 10, 15 million euros. He's only got, what's he got, 18 months left. I think his contract runs out next summer.
Yes.
Try and get some money for him. One of the Spanish clubs or one of the Italian clubs will want to take him. Then in the summer, get rid of the likes of Ndombele, Ryan Sessegnon, Dier. We've got a massive clear out still to go.
For sure.
Huge.
Absolutely, mate, for sure. Leave you with Bevy said Donnelly is a special and will be a Premier League star, either for us or someone else. When did we last have an attacking midfielder at youth? Dorrington as a Rolls Royce. We have to loan them. I think I tell you, he hits on. I don't know if he'll be a Premier League star. Obviously, it's too early to say for me. What is interesting is from our youth team in the last decade. When was the last time we brought through anyone that wasn't a centre mid or a fullback that has played regularly for us? Can anyone? Here you go to the chat. Let's ask the chat, right? I want to know players that have come through in the last decade from the youth team, not that we've bought from the youth team, that aren't fullbacks or centre mids and have played football for us. I don't mean 30 minutes in an FA Cup. I mean regular games.
We haven't got any.
Harry Kane, Harry Kane, like all those years ago, right? This is the problem, isn't it? Marcus Edwards. Yeah, Marcus Edwards, who you'd probably have to pay 40, 50 million for in this market.
Madueke as well. Madueke,
he didn't get a chance. Who's the young bloke at, I think he's at Blackburn now. Markanday.
Yeah, that's the one.
He never got given any minutes. A player, was it Mundell?
Yeah, he's
never
got
got given any minutes. Obviously we've seen Dane Scarlett's not been played for Spurs. We've seen Troy Parrott not got game time for Spurs. I mean, if God leave you with a bevy, if you're going back to Mark Yeats,
Joseph Onamar, who went to Villa and West Ham.
Onamar, see what I mean? We don't seem to do. Jesus Christ, what year are you going back to? Neil Fenn and Paul McVeigh is like my age. But yeah, interesting. I'll let the chat go through it. But you know, when you look at the Spurs youth team, right, everyone talks in glowing references, Henry. So we're top of this league, we're top of that league. You've got Will Lancashire, you've got Dane Scarlett, you've got Donnelly, you've got Santiago, you've got Jude Sunsop-Bell. How do any of these ever get a minute? Same with Dorrington and Phillips when they couldn't during an injury crisis.
Look, mate, like if this injury crisis thing, right, is because I want to break this down into multiple parts. This injury crisis thing is we are in an injury crisis. Don't get me wrong, but what's the root of this? What I'm trying to get to is what is the cause of this injury crisis? Because City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and others aren't having the level of injuries we are that play the style of football we do. High press, high intensity. So what's the cause of it? There's something else going on that training ground that we clearly aren't aware of. How hard are they working? Because if we come into next season and we've got a game every 4 days, we're in Europe, they're going to be dropping like flies. Like right now, they're already dropping, but it's going to be horrendous next season. The second part to that is other than Maddison, Van der Ven and Romero, like injuries to Ryan Sessegnon, injuries to Perisic, you can get away with, injuries to Solomon.
Yeah.
How many other teams in the league have had more than 3 or 4 first-team injuries? Like how many injuries have Arsenal got? First-team injuries. Partey.
You could say Partey. You could say.
Timber barely even played a game for them. So
no, I don't really true. I think Liverpool have though. When you look at Liverpool, I think that the reason why a club like Liverpool haven't noticed their injuries, and I'm going to show you them in a second, right, is because they've got a deeper squad, right? So when you look at Liverpool,
the likes of Thiago and that.
So Thiago Alcantara's missed the entire season. Joel Matip has missed the entire season. Andy Robertson this season has played 8 times. So apparently, according to this, he's missed 12 league games and 6 cup games. So he's missed 18 games. Diogo Jota has missed 9 games. Luis Diaz has missed 8 games. Tsimikas has missed 9 games through injuries. Alexis McAllister just missed. Alexis McAllister just missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. So they have had them, Henry.
Yeah.
But the difference is when they're taking out a young Matip, they're putting in Konate, right? So Man City as well. Man City, the other day had John Stones, Doku, De Bruyne, and Haaland all missing. The difference is they're putting in Julian Alvarez, right? They're putting in Julian Alvarez. They're putting in Nathan Ake or Akanji, so it doesn't show as much. But every club has had them. But I want to go back to your first point. Forget other clubs. What is happening at Tottenham that every single game we play, somebody seems to go down, and it never seems to be that they just get up and brush it off. They go down and straight away you see the sub warming up because he's coming off. Is it the training? Is it the intensity? Is this something we just have to put up with?
Well, I've been asking this question now for a couple of weeks because is it the intensity? Probably, but we don't press for 90 minutes. No team in the Premier League presses for that amount of time. I think with us, it's just, why? Like, what is causing it? Like, there's no difference between the way we play and the way Liverpool and City play. All 3 teams press from the front relentlessly. All 3 teams play a possession style of play. Brighton press from the front as well. What's happening on our training ground? Like, are the players just not used to this intensity? Hence why we're getting so many injuries. Like, is Maddison and Van der Ven used to this much intensity of football? Is it a lack of fitness? Is it? I don't know. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, but we can't go into next season with players dropping like this.
Yeah, you can't at all. I mean, do you remember when I remember I was vilified for this at the back end of last year? I kept saying, I want 8th. I do not want European football. We can't cope. And everyone was going, oh, you've got to have Europe. Can you imagine this squad right now, Henry, that can't cope and are tired with 1 game a week, doing what Villa, Newcastle, Brighton have been doing with 2 games a week? Well. West Ham. Right, all of these clubs have been playing 2 times a week. That for me that's why when I look at it and go, how well have those as West Ham, Brighton, they might be behind us in the league, but these guys are playing twice a week. By the way, the nominations are out 10 minutes ago, Henry, for the December Player of the Month. Would you like to hear them?
Let me guess them.
There's 8. Go on.
Solanke?
Yes.
Richarlison?
No.
He scored 5 goals that month.
But he's crap. Let's call it for what it is. He's crap. If anyone's watching and nominating him, they don't know football.
Son?
Go on. Sonny is there. Sonny and Solanke. Yep.
Trent?
Yes.
A Villa player's got to be in there. McGinn?
No Villa player. Shall I tell you the club? You tell me who?
Go on.
Right. So Liverpool was Arnold. Wolves?
Hwang?
No.
Not Hwang?
Not Hwang.
Bowen's got to be in there.
No. Hang on, Wolves. Go with Wolves first.
Wolves. It's not Hwang.
It's not Hwang. I'm not lying to you. It's not Hwang. And if you keep making me say the word Hwang,
I don't know. Who's the Wolves player?
Is Cunha. Mateus Cunha.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
West Ham player?
Kudus.
Crystal Palace player?
No, this could be quite a few players because how is a Palace player in there? But this could be quite. It could be Eze and Elise have both been injured.
It's Elise.
It's Elise. Did he play 3 games?
Chelsea player.
Palmer.
Yep. And another Bournemouth player.
Oh, is he a forward? I can't remember what his name is.
It's a centre back.
It's a centre back.
Yeah, Senesi.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
the The nominations are in. The nominations are in. We're going to go for another 13, 14 minutes or so. Please continue to get the questions in. We'll come around to them. Thank you very much for so far for all the super chats. Keep smashing the like button. There's nearly 500 of you in it and only 245 likes. We should be getting that to 300, 350 as a bare minimum. So please do smash that button. I'm going to set a target as well. There's 494 people in here. 494. That's where we're at. 12,208. Can we get that to 12,220 by the end of the show? That's 12 of you. 12. Now there's 515 in here now. 12 of you out of 515 to smash this link. Henry, we can get 12 people, can't we? We can get 12 people out of 500 to go over, smash the subscribe button. I'm going to show you where it is. Here it is. It is pinned as well. There is the link. If we can get 12, that would be absolutely phenomenal to get to 12,220 to really help me grow. Get over to Henry Wright TV. Somebody, please be so kind to whack in Henry's link to his channel. That would really, really help me out if someone would be so kind to do that.
Jaden Sancho done, by the way.
Is it done?
Yeah, Christian Falk, who's a very good source in Germany, has just put Jaden Sancho on loan from Manchester United for the remainder of the season. Is a done deal with buy option not included. There's no buy option.
Well,
Dortmund are expecting Sancho at the training camp in Marbella Friday morning.
Mm. Well, look, let's hope. I hope for his sake that he can resurrect his career and get it right, because he's a talent. It's a wasted talent for me. Lots of people, in regards to the conversation we had just there about what's happening with injuries and stuff, lots of people are Ange Postecoglou experts. I'm seeing loads of, like, it makes me laugh. In the summer, I felt like everyone was like, oh, who is this? We don't want him. Now everyone's an expert. What a lot of people are saying is Ange's teams are always fitter in the second season. People saying Ange needs 2 years to work with the players to get their bodies in the right shape. Are we starting, Henry, to talk about Ange as though he's a messiah? Like, yeah, I feel like with every footballer now, he'll make Richarlison much better. He'll make this player brilliant. He'll make that player brilliant. The player's fitness, the injuries. I love Ange, but I feel like we're starting to put him on this pedestal of godlike, can do anything.
What, like Guardiola?
I just feel like he's getting... Do you know what? More than anything, Henry, it's the pressure people are putting on him to do this.
Yeah, that's another worrying thing as well. Like, it's if it doesn't go to plan, it's all and it does go crumbling down. It's going to hit 10 times harder because the amount of pressure that's on him. You know, like that FA Cup. I'll say it again. We've got to take that seriously this year. We have to. Yeah. None of this flipping playing weaker squads away at Stoke or wherever we are. Like, we've got a relatively good start to the FA Cup. We just need to build on it now. You know?
Yeah. Listen, by the way, when I say anything like this, I feel like it has become difficult, right? Because if you say anything about Postecoglou that ends in a question, people assume you don't like him. When you know me, I love Postecoglou. I just think that we're putting too much credence on a manager to change broken footballers. And what I mean by that is we can talk about upskilling players, and sure, some can be upskilled. But let's be honest, how teams win leagues and win trophies, Henry, is you buy better quality, don't you? Let's be brutally honest. You buy better quality. I don't know, just my feelings. Let's go to a few questions from the chat, which is what this show is about. I'll tell you again, Savva, you're not Australian. You don't know Ange. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's kind of like, because I'm not Australian, I'm not allowed to know him. Cam has come in and said, you get another one. Ange does not worry about pressure. I mean, can we stop doing this? Everyone worries about pressure. If you don't, you're not normal. Everyone worries about pressure. Big up, Rob. Yeah, if anyone asks, you are working. Don't worry. We'll say we don't know who you are. If you're saying that I think he's a god, then I'm down with it. I'm gonna go back to rubbing my mini Ange statues. Okay, strange. Some of the questions that we had asked earlier. PK said, "Morning, Savage. Do you want you've such a Scarlet to have a chance against Burnley, or do you wish for us to give full in for the Burnley game?" I think we've discussed that, PK. If I'm brutally honest, I think we've gone through that one. And thank you. I know you put this in about an hour ago. Andrew has said, in regards to what we were saying about impatience for signings, Henry, is it impatience when we needed him when we needed a centre back in the summer? That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah, like not only that, we needed replacements for other players. I mean, how long did it take us to get a replacement for Eriksen over the line? Madison, 5 years. You can't wait 5 years again to get a third centre back in.
Yeah.
Like it's a very, very good point. We can't sit and wait another 5-10 days this window without getting Dragusin over the line. We just can't. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment here from Finn Brazil said, we surely shouldn't be struggling with FFP. City have signed Vardial for like 77 million, like it was nothing. We're nowhere near FFP, are we? But no. we're nowhere near. I think isn't last time I saw it was something like 450 million we'd have to spend.
I think it's 320 we can spend now.
Without recouping any money, right?
Yeah, without literally like even getting close to the margin of breaching rules, we can do 300 million.
Yeah.
It might be 290, whatever it is. Me and Sean were talking about the other day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, I don't think it's not about FFP for Spurs. It's about whether Daniel Levy and Enoch ever want to say, here's an extra cash injection, go and be successful. By the way, thank you to the people that just subscribed. Come on, 7 more subscribers to get to 12,220 would be amazing. Please smash that button. Has said, Savva and Henry, do you rate Chelsea's young talents? Casadei, Santos, Angelo, Mudryk, Lavia, Paez. The future is promising. That's for sure. Henry, do we rate any of Chelsea's young talents?
I quite like Mudryk. I think he needs a little bit more time. I think he's got lots of ability. Lavia, I wanted him at Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
Santos, Angelo, and Casadei, I'll be honest, I don't know too much about, but definitely Mudryk and Lavia, I think, are talents. Mm-hmm. I think the end comment's right. The future is promising. They've got lots of good players. They just need to. Mm-hmm. It's just about getting them all embedded at once. Is a big ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, for me, I've seen Casadei play last year. I think a very good young player on loan at Leicester at the moment. I don't know, like Henry said, I don't know enough about Santos and Angelo. I know that Santos has just come back. They've just pulled him back from loan at Forest where he wasn't playing. The others, are good. But again, some will work out, some won't. It's the way it is. Savva, do you think Tottenham could get João Pedro from Brighton? Don't know why no one's looking at him. Henry, João Pedro.
He's going to cost 60, 70 million in this market. He's going to cost as simple as that. He's actually on relatively good form. I think he scored 8 out of the last 12 starts he's played or something like that. Good player.
Do you know what? Really good player for me. Not clinical enough. But watch him as a forward play. Hold up, running at people, touch, control. Then watch Richie. Right?
Yeah, it's night and day.
Night and day. But he's just signed for Brighton. I can't see that they'd sell him cheap. Henry's right, I think. Here's a question from Daniela Stewart, who said, question to both of you. Are ITKs good for football, or do they spread too much gossip and false information? Henry, as YouTubers, how do we answer that?
I mean, there's a lot. Everyone's got their own ITK that they think is reliable and not reliable. I would say, yes, they are good for football because the news they bring, whether it's true or not, does spark a debate. That's what I would argue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know what you think, but I think it is good for football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, left of centre has said, hi, Savva, I disagree with you. Okay, no worries. Buying better players is one way to improve. Agree it is the quickest, but not necessarily the best in the longer term. I don't understand how it cannot be the best in the longer term. How do you win titles? How do you get better if you don't buy better quality footballers, Henry? I don't understand.
Hi, Savva, I disagree with you. Buying better players is one way to improve. Agree it's quickest, but not necessarily best in longer term of the club. But buying better footballers. You know, how is disagree? Buying better players is one way to improve. Agree, it is the quickest, but not necessarily best in the longer term. Just buying the best players in each position wins you trophies. The best player suited for that system wins you trophies. It's as simple as that. What's everyone talking about? Hudson Odoi's been on this island. Is that actually legit, or is that fake? Start an Ange out petition, leave you with a BV, and see how many signatures you get. Yeah, I think Ange is the right manager for this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we need to just send like more money to the academy, more money to transfers. We're playing the right brand of football. We are, in a very good position at the moment in league table. We're 1 point off top 4. In Arsenal's title challenging team, we're only a point behind them lot.
Yeah, look, I do. Listen, I get it. I think leave you with a bevy. He talks a lot about zero in-game management from Ange, and his team selections have been shocking. What I would say is, listen, do I agree with this isn't Ange, by the way. Do I agree with every single substitution or tactic that a manager makes or employs? No. But what you could say is we are 6 points off the top. I think we are where we thought we'd be, just with a few more points. 5th place is round about where we are, 5th to 6th. I think it's round about where we should be. So for me, I think he's doing a really, really good job. I just don't want to put people on this pedestal. I think people are putting Ange on such a pedestal that they're going to expect miracles from him very quickly, Henry. And we will finish in 2 minutes. But I think that's the thing for me, that what I don't want to do is go, you know what, he's definitely winning a league title next year. And then all of a sudden he doesn't. And you look like, oh, well, hang on, we've shot a load a bit early there. Do you see what I mean? Like, by putting him on the pedestal when a lot of people, I was having to battle people in the chats in the summer to say, hang on, I think this guy's a good manager. And people were going, he's come from Celtic. He's never done it in England. And now all of a sudden, everyone's an expert on Ange, on his tactics, on his signings, on his training methods. It seems a bit crazy. Yeah,
it's like, don't get me wrong, he's doing all the right things, but he's not a god. He's not a messiah. He can't fix everything overnight. We need these things take time. It's taken Arteta 4 years to get him into a title race. Guardiola didn't in the league title the first year he managed in England.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. Like, if we put him up to the highest of points and it doesn't work out, then it's gonna fall down and hurt 10 times more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last comment I'll go to, I agree with this, by the way, leave with Bevy. Listen, if you weren't allowed to criticise people, there'd be no YouTube shows, there'd be no Football Focus, there'd be no Sky Sports, BT, there'd be nothing if we weren't allowed to criticise. I think, but you are right, people need to get to the point where they realise that every time you criticise Ange for something doesn't mean I hate Ange, I want him out, right? I didn't agree with that, but we move on. Last comment, and then we're going to go. Last comment here from Phil Coys. He said, we don't know what the ins and outs are in terms of the accounts. We do know what the ins and outs of the accounts are. Levy runs this club very well from the business side. There's plenty of clubs that aren't run well by their owners. Deals will get done. When you say that aren't run well by their owners, successful clubs, right? We could take a look. I mean, Henry, just really quickly, so I'm going to let you go in 60 seconds because I know you're streaming. If we look at this, when we're saying plenty of clubs that aren't run well, here's the Premier League table. Liverpool are an extremely well-run club. Villa are being run very well by their new owners. Man City are a brilliantly run club. Arsenal are a really well-run club. Now, they might say they want more titles, but they're a well-run club. Tottenham are a well-run club, right? West Ham United are a well-run club. Brighton are extremely well-run. Newcastle are a well-run club. So what we're talking about here is Man U and Chelsea. Am I missing? Who else there isn't a well-run club? I'd love to know.
Yeah, it's just United and Chelsea.
Look, like
Bournemouth have done really well.
Bournemouth have done well. Wolves have done well. Fulham have done well. All right, you could say Everton, but sorry, Phil.
They didn't have that 10-point deduction. They're being mid-table by now, Everton.
Yeah. Sorry, Phil. I don't understand. When you say there's plenty of clubs that aren't run well by their owners, I would have loved to have known. We haven't got the time now, but I would have loved to have known who we're going against. Again, it's that thing that we're so well run, no one else is, but yet all these other teams around us win trophies. So it's like, which one is it? Henry, been an absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for joining. Really do appreciate it. I have redirected. So there's just under 450 people still in the chat. I've just redirected everybody over to Henry's show, which is going to be starting in the next 3 or 4 minutes. I'd kindly ask, please, could you smash the subscribe button on your way out? We are 6 away from 12,220. Smash the likes. We should be on 300. We're only on 294. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the likes. Henry, enjoy your show. And as always, come on.
Come on, Spurs.
You Spurs.